Hello there. How's it going, everyone? Hello, Mangled Insanity and Abysmal Curry. General Kenobi. Yeah, we're picking up kind of where we left off last week on MTG Arena. I did play a few games by myself just to finish up like all the tutorial games and the like. Hello, Abysmal Curry. Yeah, and I kind of want to get more into detail this time around. Hopefully anyone that was interested picked up the basics last time. You want the O expression? Here you go. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully people kind of got the idea from last time how to play the game. I might be able to go into a little bit more detail here. I want to do maybe like 1 or 2 bot matches against Sparky, so I can just kind of walk through my thought process while I play the game. But before I get into that, you can see up here I've got 6,000 gold saved up. I have a few quests down here that I also have saved up. Is it or nothing? Is it's fine. I kind of like what they've been doing with Is it and Strixhaven, actually. I've had a lot of fun with the... Oh, what school is that even called? Yeah, Strixhaven is dope. What's that set? Prismari. Yeah, Prismari. I like what they've been doing with it. Anyway, let's go back. Yeah, because they kind of changed things up a bit, didn't they, with like color combinations? Like, Boros now likes Graveyard. Lorehold. Which is Lorehold again? Is that... Boros, yeah. Yeah, it like they actually do stuff with the graveyard, which is interesting. Here, yeah, I'm gonna go over to the collection here. Let's look at the gold cards, because I should have gold from... In fact, let's... Strixhaven. That should... No. Strixhaven. Gold. That elephant guy that makes tokens, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, so we have Witherbloom. That kind of, I mean, that's just basic Golgari stuff. It doesn't seem to be that new of a concept for black and green. Just make tiny things that like to die. I'm a big fan of, which school is this? Let's go to not collected. It's Silverquill. I'm a big fan of Silverquill. I've enjoyed playing with them a lot. Yeah, Prismari, like I said, is pretty nice. I should have changed my stream title to MTG, but let me just make sure that's the case. Oh! You are correct. Why did that not save? Okay, that should be updated. Hey, Jules. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and then Witherbloom is pretty much just Golgari stuff. Lorehold is pretty interesting. And then we've got Quandrix, which is pretty standard Simic stuff. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much like a nerd that knows absolutely everything about Magic, because this is supposed to be beginner friendly. Mono red commander that makes a token copy of something at the start of combat for each... Yeah, I think I've seen that one. Hey, Clubchan! Welcome, welcome. Okay, so, yeah, as you can see, I've got a few daily quests here that I've worked on. I played this on this account a little bit yesterday just to clear up a little bit more of the tutorial stuff and unlock the first two free 2-colored decks that you would gain access to. I also want to show a little bit, because this account, this like play of this MTG arena is supposed to be a completely free to play experience. I do not want to spend any money on this. I do want to point out a few things though in the store. Hey Ophelia, thanks for stopping by. Well, here's a great thing about the store. Look at this. Sometimes you just get free money. You want to keep an eye on those daily deals. I love you too, Ophelia. And thank you so much for that fan art you made of me. That was just like the best thing ever. Anyway, yeah, sometimes you want to keep an eye on these daily deals, because you will get just free money. Look at this. You get 500 gold. What does it cost? 50 gold. Huh. What's the catch? As far as I can tell, there is no catch. They just want to give out free money. It doesn't happen all the time, but you do want to keep an eye out for it. And also there's cosmetics if you want to buy them. And hello, Painting Glee. Okay, here's something you can also keep an eye out for, is when you first start up the game, if you want to, you can totally just go for this one-time bundle. It's just $5. You get a bunch of gems, which are necessarily to enter certain events and stuff, and 5 free booster packs. That's not a bad deal in my opinion. Basically it's like $1 per booster pack and you get a bunch of gems with it. So if you want to, go ahead and buy this. I'm not going to though. I want to be as free to play as I can get away with. And yeah, there's a shit ton of cosmetics like these. I love these. They're all so pretty. They are all so pretty. Like, look at them. Look at that art. That art is just mwah. I love it. Anyway, I do want to hop over here. You can see I have some packs. Some Strixhaven packs. I got one of these just for playing, like completing daily quests and stuff. The other 5 actually came from, I want to make sure I get the person right over here on Discord. Who was it? Hopefully I've got it. Wait. Maybe I don't. It was someone in Kuraku's Discord who basically just had a bunch of arena codes that they gave to me. I want to make sure I find that. I don't know. I don't know where it is. It should be in my friends. Maybe they unfriended me. But in any case, yeah, that person, I'll tweet about it if I can remember who it was, gave me basically 5 free packs. And do not turn down free packs. So, let's just open these up and see what we have inside. We've got some fun cards, so 4 commons, 2 uncommons. We actually got a rare here. This is fun. So these are dual-faced cards. Basically, they're 2 cards for the price of 1. When you play this card, you'll have to decide if you want to play the front side or the back side. And both sides are like different cards from each other. So yeah, you can keep that in mind when you're building decks and playing around with them. you do not have to be playing both of these colors to have this in your deck. You could just be playing a white deck and just play this card for the backside, or you could just be playing a red deck and play it for the front side. So there's a few things you can do with these. And let's look at what this card... Oh, Day of Judgment. Hell yeah. We got a mythic. A mythic rare card. This is what we call a board wipe. For only 4 mana. So 2 plus 2 white. You can destroy everything. All creatures. All creatures get destroyed. I'm happy I got that card. I'll explain when I get into more about the archetypes. Yeah, Wraths. Okay, we just got another rare wild card just for opening up packs. We got a few more stuff. We got an uncommon wild card. Those will come in handy. And Defiant Strike. It's just an uncommon, but it's nice art. And Rushed Rebirth. This one's fine. There might be some use for this card. Yeah, Wraths, I kind of do like Wraths. I'm not a big control player, but when I play control, I do like board wipes. What else have we got? So some more interesting stuff. You can see this like orange outline. These are cards that I have not yet had added to my collection, so these are all new to me. And then we got Thrill of Possibility. That's just some good card filtering for red. And oh, this is an interesting card. Hang on. What? Selfless Glyph Weaver. So you can exile it to make your creatures indestructible until the end of turn. So that Wrath that I just opened up in a couple packs ago, this will basically protect all my creatures from that Wrath, because indestructible means they can't be destroyed. And then this card also has a backside that you can cast if you want to for 5 plus 3 black, so 8 mana total. And that is choose a creature or planeswalker. We haven't really seen planeswalkers yet. And then destroy all other creatures and planeswalkers. So it's an expensive Wrath, but it can keep around one of your more powerful cards, so you can finish off your opponent. Yeah, I do like the MDFCs. I was actually thinking the other day how, like, it's not a new concept, but it is. Because way back in the day, like way back in the day, they had split cards, where on the front side of the card, like the side that you look at, there were 2 cards mashed in there, and you would choose which side to cast, and then you would just get that side. But thinking about it, those were only ever instants and sorceries, weren't they? They were never permanents. MDFCs, modal dual-faced cards, that is the cards that have 2 faces, are a concept that allows that same concept to exist. Yeah, they also didn't mix card types before. It allows those types of cards to exist while also being permanents. And some of them are like permanents on one side and not permanent on the other. Like the one I just opened was a creature on one side, which is a type of permanent. It's a card that you play it and it stays around on the battlefield for a long time. And the other side is a sorcery, which is a card that you play it once and then it goes to your graveyard. So they kind of mix things up with modal dual-face cards, and they were first introduced in the latest Zendikar block. What was that called? Zendikar Rising? General Kenobi. Hi, Hazardous. Yeah, they were first introduced in Zendikar Rising. I think that's what the set was called. And it wasn't just a new concept that just stuck with that one set. They've continued with every set since then. Anyway, let's keep opening these packs. Oh, Putrefy. Love to see that card. It's just very efficient removal. Destroys an artifact or creature. Regeneration doesn't really exist these days all that much, but sometimes with older cards you'll see cards that have regenerate or can be regenerated. So this would just go around that. But these days all you have to worry about is the first sentence right there. Destroy target artifact or creature. And it's an instant for 3 mana. Pretty good rate. Oh, and a mythic wild card. Love to see that. So we've got 2 of those now. What's next? Okay, we've got another Thrill of Possibility. You'll notice I'm not really paying much attention to these commons and uncommons, and that's because I find that your collection really quickly builds up with commons and uncommons, and they're not that hard to get if you don't have them, because I already have 16 common wildcards and 15 uncommon. So yeah, I usually don't pay too much to that. I just pay attention to the fancy card and the rare or mythic. Ooh, we got Shali, the Dean of Radiance, and Embrose, the Dean of Shadow. So those are fun ones. And what's in our last pack? Come on, something good. Okay, we got Negate. That's a pretty on-rate card. Culling Ritual. This one I've heard is probably gonna be really good in EDH. 4 mana, basically destroy all soul rings and make a ton of mana. Yeah. Yeah, if you're playing black and green, play this card in EDH. Anyway, so those are our packs. I also want to show off over here. So on MTG Arena, there are a few things you can do. You can just do regular play, which is you pick one of your decks, stick it in here, and as long as all the cards in that deck are legal, you can play with it. We've also got and that's not going to affect your rank, it's just going to find a random opponent and have fun with them. You can play against a bot match, which is this is really just useful for testing out your decks and also taking your time in doing so, because you're not going to annoy your opponent by not playing cards quickly enough. Historic is probably my favorite format on MTG Arena, but I do think it has a relatively high bar of entry because it allows you to play with all the cards that have ever been printed on Arena and weren't banned. And when you first start playing, say around Strixhaven, you're not going to have any of those earlier cards, so you might find there are cards you have no way to deal with. But my goal is to be able to get into Historic. It's kind of like Modern, yeah. It's not really, but it kind of is. I think it's closer to what's that one other format? It's kind of like Modern, but more the name escapes me. But you probably know, Kaide. Anyway, yeah, like Old School's Extended. Shoot, yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The name really escapes me. No, it's not Legacy. It's not like it includes all sets from Return to Ravnica into current day. So it's kind of like Modern, but the cutoff date is instead of 8th edition, the cutoff is Return to Ravnica. Yeah, I have heard that. I haven't heard that much talk about it recently, but I did listen to a few MTG podcasts last year that talked a lot about it. I wish I could tell you what, I'm gonna look it up right now. It was on... Yeah, Tiny Leaders is also dead. Okay, let's open up MTG Goldfish, because it should be on there. Let's look at decks, and it should say over here what the name of the format is. Pioneer. That's what it was called, Pioneer. Yeah, Pioneer was just all... You're allowed to use cards from any set that's from Return to Ravnica onwards. Anyway, yeah, Historic is a fun format. I really enjoy playing it, because I don't like losing access to my collection that I built up when the set rotates. Traditional basically means instead of playing a best of 1 game, you're playing best out of 3. So if you win 2 games in traditional, then you win the match. Yeah, EDH is also great for not having rotations. All you have to worry about are ban lists. Brawl is kind of like EDH, except really, really not. It's an attempt at EDH. Because EDH is a 4-player game where everyone starts at 40 life. I mean, it can be less than 4 players, but typically it's 4 players. And, like Kaide just said, the sets can go all the way back in time. As long as they're not banned, you can use them. Brawl, on the other hand, is a 2-player game where everyone starts at 25 life, so the game is going to be shorter than in EDH. And technically this Brawl right here, you're only allowed to use cards that are standard legal. So all those cards that are legal in Historic, you cannot use them in Brawl. Occasionally, Historic Brawl will pop up, and everyone will jump on it and love it, but Wizards of the Coast just likes to dangle that fruit in front of us and say, ha ha, you can't have it. Yeah, you can use Planeswalkers as your commanders in Brawl, which is nice. Anyway, so those are just like fun quick play events you can jump into. All the way up here, you have events. These are things that are going to change from time to time. You'll see some events are only around for a certain amount of time, like this FNM at home. FNM, by the way, stands for Friday Night Magic, which is also why I'm trying to stream these on Fridays, because Wizards of the Coast likes to market that Magic is a game you should be playing with friends on like Friday nights. So yeah, they've got these events that happen every week. Let's see what this event is, just out of curiosity. This one is also free to enter. So you might keep an eye out for those. They'll give you free entry things. Yeah, I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Standard on this account, because when you're first starting out, that's basically your only option. Yeah, and this is just kind of telling you. So, 1 hour only. Interesting. This is a very I've never seen an event like this before. Yeah, cons. Yeah, I got back into Standard when I first downloaded Arena back in War of the Spark. That's when I kind of got back into Standard briefly, and then Historic became a thing. Yeah, and then Historic became a thing, and then I just abandoned Standard. So yeah, that's you do want to keep an eye out for those different events. And oh, come on, there we go. Struggled with opening my tea there. Oh, okay. So yeah, events to keep an eye out for. You've got draft. Draft is a format that I have a lot of fun with. It's a limited format, meaning you're going into the event without your deck being built. Instead, you'll enter the event and build your deck with the cards that you get from the event. I'll do a draft later. Hopefully I'll have time to do that this stream. But I do want to kind of talk a little bit more about deck building before we go into drafting. So yeah, let's just hop into a bot match, just so I can maybe refresh people on how this game works. These are the two decks that I recently unlocked. Yeah, draft is also good to practice deck building. We've got... I'm just going to play with this one, and actually, let's take a look at the deck before we hop into it. Let's change the deck view. How do we change the deck view? I swear there's a button somewhere. They can take it from being over here to down here. Maybe you can't see that in this screen. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. So this is a deck that's built around enchantments. Hey, Foxy-chan. Yeah, this is a deck built around having enchantments and capitalizing on those. So, yeah, let's just jump into a game with that and see how it works. And we're playing against Sparky, which means we will still time out if we take too long, but I'll at least be able to talk about what I'm doing. Also, okay, so first of all, you have this thing in the game called mulligans. If your first hand of 7 cards does not suit you, meaning typically you want all your colors, so in this case I'm playing white and blue, you want lands that can produce those colors, and generally speaking, you want around 3 lands in your starting hand. If you have too many, you'll flood out and not be able to play any, and not have any spells to play. If you have too few, you'll struggle to play those spells. But you can also make decisions depending on the type of deck that you're playing and how the mana curve looks. You can make decisions on how many lands you want in that opening hand. This is a pretty good one. We'll be able to play a card by turn 3. If maybe, say I had the lowest mana cost of a card I had in my hand was 5, I might consider mulliganing this hand and getting a better one. But this one's pretty good. A mulligan will also reduce your hand down in size. So you really only want to take the mulligan if you can draw a better hand. Yeah, that's definitely the problem, isn't it, Kuraku? Also, I think MTG Arena kind of has an algorithm thingy where it draws your hand and it will give you the best out of 2 hands that it draws in the background. I think I've heard that's a thing. So you might find you'll have better luck with opening hands in MTG Arena than you would in, say, Paper Magic. But I'm also not gonna jump on a conspiracy theory unless there's actual evidence, like unless they've actually said that's a thing. But yeah, we're gonna keep this hand.
I'm ready to play.
We will start with this land because it enters tapped. Oh, and I'm gonna hide this for a second. I'll explain what this is in a little bit, but I do use the MTG assistant, and I don't actually consider it to be cheating. I just think it's useful. Anyway, you can see this land will enter the battlefield tapped. So unless, okay, can you shut up, Sparky? Unless you have a card that you want to play on turn 1, you want to lead with this. So we'll play that, I'll gain a life, and then now it's untapped. So it doesn't really matter what we play now, so let's just play an island. And Sparky is playing a Treetop Warrior. Okay, so this turn we can play something. And I have two options. I could Banishing Light, which will exile that Treetop Warden until Banishing Light leaves the battlefield. So I'll probably use that this game and kind of show off what exactly that refers to, but exiling basically just means this card will disappear into like oblivion, but when this card goes away, that card will come back. But I think I'm gonna hold this card. It's an instant, which means I can play it at any time, so I will wait for my opponent to do their thing. Yeah, it has its uses. Okay, so now I'll wait for their end step, which is typically what you do. You wait until they've done everything they can, and then I'll play this instant. So I'm making my decisions off of as much information they give here. So let's play Thirst for Meaning. That will draw me 3 cards. Oh, this is awful. I have the option here. I could discard an enchantment to only discard 1 card. But no, I have way too many lands right now, so I'm instead gonna discard a few of these lands. I still have 6 lands in my hand, but that's just gonna give me better draws in the future, hopefully. Here, what I think I want to do is play this tapped land. Let's play a Temple of Enlightenment. This card...
It's important to take your time.
Shut up, Sparky. This card will let me scry when it enters the battlefield. Scrying, you can see here, will mean you look at the top card of your library and you decide if you want that to be the next card that you draw, or you can put it on the bottom. I can check out Cardboard Live if I want to stream Arena often. It's a cool overlay that lets viewers hover over the card and see what they do. That's interesting. I might look into that. In fact, here, I'll just take a screenshot of that on my phone, because chat is also on my phone. And yeah, I'll look into that later.
I hope I win. But I hope you win too.
Shut up, Sparky. Okay, so let's play the Temple. We have an Eidolon of Philosophy. This is a decent card to play on turn 1. I don't think I want to draw it though. I think I want to see if I can draw something a little bit better. So I'll put it on the bottom. It wouldn't be the worst thing if I drew that card though. And now I'll play Banishing Light. So it's an enchantment, it'll enter the battlefield, and now I choose one of my opponent's things to exile. So I'll choose the Wildwood Patrol because that card is a little bit more intimidating. And now it's exiled. So this is the exile zone. There are some ways you can interact with cards in exile. but for the most part, this just means it's gone. And the reason it's underneath this card is representing that if this card goes away, it represents that this card is remembering the card that it exiled. Sometimes that means they will get something in return. Sometimes it means they'll just get this card back if this card goes away. So now, we just drew a Luminous Broodmoth, which is pretty nice. I think though...
You've got to learn to planes walk before you can planes run.
Shut up, Sparky. I think I want to play the Arcanist Owl first. My reasoning for that is just because honestly, I don't know if there's a right decision either way between playing these two.
Keep going. You can do this.
But I want to see if I can find more cards. So this will, when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of my library. I can reveal an artifact or enchantment card from among them and put it into my hand. So basically you play this card, and there's a high chance you'll get another card to replace it. I think I want to do that. So we could get another Arcanist Owl, which wouldn't be a bad loop, just getting more of these. But I think I want all that glitters, because all of that glitters will make my creature bigger. Whatever creature it's attached to will get bigger for each artifact and enchantment that I control. So it counts these 2 cards and itself, and you can get your creature to be really big. So let's play this tapped land, because there's nothing I could play for 1. Ooh, that's a little bit unfortunate. But that's why I'm glad this Arcanist Owl got played before the Luminous Broodmoth. Because they could have killed the Luminous Broodmoth, which would be... Like, Luminous Broodmoth you want to stick around, because it has an ability that basically keeps your creatures coming back when they die. Whereas this card already served its purpose just by entering the battlefield. So let's play a land. We're 1 land away from being able to play Kiora Best the Sea God. But for now, let's play Luminous Broodmoth. You can see there's a nice animation there because this card is a mythic from that orange symbol there, meaning it's the rarest card. It's the rarest card type that you can get in the game. And yeah, I have the Godzilla alt art.
Oh, sorry.
Shut up. Is there a way... Mute. Yeah, I have the alt art on my other account, and it's pretty cool looking. Anyway, let's play all that glitters. It does require a creature to enchant. I could enchant one of their creatures, but no, I'll enchant my own. And look at that, it turned from a 3/4 into a 5/6. You have it IRL? That's nice. Also, welcome, Nightmare. Welcome to the stream. Okay, now we can do the sexy thing. So, Kiora the Best the Sea God is a saga. So a saga is an enchantment that when you play it, first thing that'll happen is this one right here, the one with the Roman numeral 1 next to it. So I'll make an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token with hexproof. That's this thing right here. It's just an 8/8 with hexproof. It doesn't have any mana cost, and there is no way to play this card, it just enters. and if it ever leaves the battlefield, it's gone for good. Then on my second turn of having Kiora Best the Sea God out, the second thing will happen. Hexproof. You can see up here in the corner, because MTG Arena has these sorts of reminders for text. Hexproof means this can't be targeted by any spells or abilities that my opponent controls. No, it's fine. Yeah, there's a lot of keywords in Magic that the game tries to streamline, so it just says hexproof, but there are ways you can see what that actually means. But basically, this card cannot be targeted by my opponent with anything. So any cards that say target, hey Dead Pizza, any cards that say target on them cannot affect this card. So yeah, this effect number 2 would happen on my second turn, and then on my third turn, this effect happens. And after the final effect happens on a saga, the saga then goes to my graveyard. So it's gone, it's done its thing, and it goes away. So let's play this. It does the fancy thing. And the game is struggling. Okay, there we go. And you can see my Luminous Broodmoth got a little bit bigger because I played another enchantment. So yeah, I've got a big 8/8 that my opponent cannot directly target, and a Luminous Broodmoth. I'm going to not attack this turn. I'm pretty good at this game. Yeah, I've been playing it for years. But I want to try something at maybe teaching people how to play the game if they want to get into it. So I could attack with this creature. They don't have any way to block it because it has flying. You can see there, a creature with flying can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. They don't have any creatures that have flying, and they don't have any creatures with reach. So I could attack with it, and they wouldn't block. But in the interest of just keeping my opponent from attacking me, they aren't likely to attack into this 8/8. But even so, I want to play a little bit defensively and maybe attack next turn. So yeah, see, they didn't do anything. Now, this second ability happens automatically. So all their permanents get tapped, which means they can't attack or block with them. And they're not going to untap with them at the start of their next turn. So let's play a Plains and another All That Glitters. Let's put the All That Glitters on this Kraken here. And look at how big my team is now. I've got a 12/12 and a 7/8. And this card will get cheaper and cheaper the more enchantments I have on the battlefield. So normally it costs 7 mana. That's 6 plus the 1 blue. But because I have so many enchantments, it only costs 3. So I'll play that. Yeah, 1 away from being able to kill my opponent in a single attack. What is this game doing? Okay, let's go ahead and attack. And look at that, 1 life. Sparky. It's Sparky. It's your turn. There we go. Yeah, Sparky probably has an instant. Okay, now on turn 3, I can gain control of any one of these permanents. A permanent just refers to a card that is on the battlefield. And I would gain control of it and untap it. I'll just take this one. I like the look of it. And we can attack in for the win. There we go. Negative 21 health. Sparky is dead. Or she should be. Okay, there we go. So you can play against Sparky at any time just to test out your decks, see how they play, and have fun with that. Yeah, Sparky was feeling salty. Also, while I'm on here, again, this here is my friend code. If you want to download this game and add me, I'm perfectly happy to have friends on here. So it's Haru Hayes, hashtag 78486. So if anyone wants to add me, you can screenshot this, add me later. And currently I haven't played any games in ranked, so I will not receive rewards. Yeah, I think a lot of my MTG friends like dabbled in arena and then just left it because it has its limitations. I still think arena is fun and a pretty useful tool to new players. So, and also just it's very pretty. Yeah, I don't blame you for losing interest. I kind of lost interest around... which set was it? I think I kind of fell away from the game around... It was like right before Throne of Eldraine came out. And then Throne of Eldraine came out and I got back into the game. It was Ikoria for you. Yeah. So, yeah, as you can see, even long experienced players that love Magic can grow tired of MTG Arena. But I still think it's a fun game. And yeah. So I kind of want to complete these quests, so I'll kind of, yeah, I'll go ahead and explain what this assistant is. Basically, MTG Assistant, you can download it for free, and it will just, it has a few different tools to it. I mostly use it for two things. You can't see the assistant. Okay, that's interesting. Well, there is an assistant. And if you want to use it, you can just download it. Basically, it'll just show over here in the side. It will show you what cards you have left in your deck, what the percent chances are of you drawing a land versus a non-land. And I just think it's useful to have. It's especially useful, yeah, I'd probably have to capture the screen. I don't mind not showing it. But yeah, it's a useful tool to have. You absolutely do not have to have it. But I just think it's cool that it exists. It's also useful in draft. If you're fairly new to draft, it will tell you when you're picking out a card. It'll tell you when you're picking out a card, how much an AI would recommend picking that card, and how much a pro player of the game would recommend picking that card. So it has a few useful tools. and I like to play with it. So let's jump into a real match. Deathsea? I've never heard of Deathsea. Yeah, let's jump into a real match against a real player. So, let's submit this deck. It's gonna find me an opponent. Okay. This is and I'll not take my time as much since I'm playing against a real person here. But this is a decent hand. I've got 3 lands, all my colors, and I could play this turn 1, this turn 2, or this turn 2, this turn 3, this turn 4, and hopefully draw more action later. So that's a pretty good start. I'll have to wait for my opponent to actually do something. This isn't you, Nightmare VT, is it? Okay, let's play my planes. Looks like they're playing red and green, probably the starter deck that the game gives you. Yeah, I didn't think it was actually you, but I just thought it's kind of funny. Play this island and Birth of Melodus. So I'll search up a planes card from my library, put it into my hand. Ooh, it is an imposter. My opponent now knows I have this plane's in my hand because it was revealed to them. And are they gonna do anything? Oh, they're gonna play their own saga, the first I row in games. That's interesting. So, I think I want to play Banishing Light. Yeah, I'll play Banishing Light, and I'm gonna exile their token. That token is now gone for good, and they're not getting it back. And now they're going to actually have to play a real card if they want to benefit from the turn 3 part of the saga. So that says, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, power refers to how much damage the card deals, so the first number here. Then they draw 2 cards. So if they don't commit something to the board, then they're not going to draw those 2 cards. Okay, I'll play this Arcanist Owl. That's a good one. Shambling Suit. And see, they did not draw those cards. They will still make the gold token at the end of their turn. You can see there the gold token. It's just an artifact that you can sacrifice for mana. Kind of think of it as a land that only has one, it's a one-time use. My opponent is taking their sweet time deciding what they want to do. Okay, they stomp on my Arcanist Owl. And they actually have ram through. Okay. So that's interesting. I think I'm gonna play Shambling Suit and the stinging lionfish, just so I can use up all my mana for the turn. So this is an enchantment and a creature. It's 2 card types in one. And when I cast my first spell during my opponent's turn, so if I play a spell when it's their turn, I may tap or untap target non-land permanent. They are deciding what they want to do. I'm probably going to play this card next. So that's an instant. When I cast it from my hand, copy it if I control an artifact, and copy it if I control an enchantment, and I can choose new targets for those copies. So I have an enchantment, I have an artifact, and it says return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and I create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Vigilance just mean, and I'm waiting until my opponent's turn to play this because I want to see if they play anything else with their mana. Vigilance just means attacking with that creature does not tap the creature. So it's not just a so I don't have to decide between leaving that creature back to as a blocker. I can have it do both. Okay. So now they've used up all their mana. And now let's see what they do, huh? Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna play this now. I'm going to target this. I will take 2 damage from it because Bone Crusher Giant has an ability where if I target it with a spell, it will deal 2 damage to me. But I'm fine with that. Most importantly, wait, no. Hang on. There we go. And then this as well. So I'm putting all these cards back in their hand and creating a bunch of 2/2 knights while I do it. I can play Tranquil Cove and a Naiad of Hidden Coves and a Midnight Clock. Midnight Clock is an artifact that can tap for mana. I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna attack with this anyway. I think it's more valuable for me to have the 6/3 and them to still have their 3/3 than it is for... Yeah, this card is more valuable than that card. I shouldn't have traded it, but I wanted to anyway. Or I wanted to see if they would take that trade. And yeah, at the start of each turn, I put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. Once it has 12 hour counters, then I get to basically draw a new hand of 7 cards, which is pretty good. Okay. And then they stomp on one of my knights. Okay, I've got a plains. I'll play another Stinging Lionfish. I don't have any good attacks here. I could just attack with everything because they can only block 1 creature. But I don't think I have enough pressure on them yet to start pushing the offensive. So I'll just leave these all back defensively. Also, this card has an ability that I can activate as many times as I want as long as I have the mana for it. Right there, the put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. So, and because I can do it at any time, I can also do it at the end of their turn. So I'm just waiting to do that. Let's see if they attack. If they do, I'll definitely block. Now they're tapping it for mana, and they play a Brushwag. Alright, now I'm going to activate this. just to put a few more hour counters on it. Speed up the time. Oh, hell yeah. Alright, we drew in all that glitters, which is gonna make this night a big night. 9/9 with vigilance. And because it's got vigilance, I can absolutely leave it back defensively as well. Okay, they're gonna scry. They put that card on the bottom, which means they didn't want to draw it. Alright, they will activate that thing's ability just to put extra 1/1 counters on these cards that have trample. A +1/+1 counter is basically a permanent stat boost to a card, and there's various things that can play around with +1/+1 counters, like put more of them on creatures, or like double them or something. But when you're first starting out, all you really have to worry about a +1/+1 counter is it's a permanent stat boost. Okay. I'm gonna attack with this first. See if they block. They can kill it if they want, but it'd be costly for them to do. They're effectively trading 2 of their cards for 1 of mine. Okay, they choose not to block, which is a fair deal. I'm going to spend... First, I'm going to tap this because this card's going to go away anyway. I'm going to spend 6 mana just to put the 12th hour counter on this and draw myself a new hand of 7 cards. So, that was a pretty good draw. Hey, Umisai. Yeah, I'm gonna play this Archon of Sun's Grace, I think. No, I think I'll... No, yeah, I'll play the Archon. Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, so Archon of Sun's Grace has an ability where every time I play an enchantment, I get a Pegasus. So, I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Yeah, every time you play an enchantment, you get a Pegasus. That's why I played this card now, instead of waiting till my next turn, because now I'll be able to play a few enchantments on my turn and get a few Pegasi. You're making lunch? Alright, what are you making? They're deciding if they want to attack me. I don't think they have any good attacks. They don't, so they pass a turn. And they concede. They saw they really couldn't beat me. In fact, I could have won that turn. So, yeah, they concede, I win. And I complete a quest, which got... You're making salad? Ooh, salad sounds good. So I completed that quest, which got me XP, which got me another rank in the mastery tree, which unlocked a new booster pack. So let's open this pack. Packs are fun to open. Alright, we got a rare wild card and Inquisition of Kozilek. I do like this card. This is a fun card. So being able to force your opponent to discard cards from their hand and learning every card they have in their hand on turn 1 is a very powerful ability. So yeah, that's a good card. Alright, you can see I cleared out that daily quest, and I'm not going to get another one until tomorrow. These two, however, I can keep playing so I can play red and blue spells to get that. How close am I to getting this? So I need to play 13 more white and blue spells to unlock this deck. Yeah, tell you what, let's do that. Let's just hop into another game with the same deck. And then hopefully this game will give me that brand new deck. And then I can maybe talk a little bit more about deck building, keeping an eye on how, because the game does just give you free pre-built decks, which aren't bad when you're first starting off to just get used to the game. Yeah, there's yeah, hopefully after this game I can talk a little bit more about how a deck is typically constructed and things to keep in mind there. I will warn that I'm not the best person at deck building. Sometimes I get struck with inspiration and play around with stuff. Yeah, that's fine. Yumisai, enjoy your meal. Yeah, this is pretty good. By turn 2, I get a 3-4. Hell yeah. Yeah, unless I get struck with, like, inspiration, I'll just do their... Like, I'll just pull a deck off the internet and play with that one. Yeah, let's midnight clock. Let's just keep pushing the attack. Let's try to race them. I don't know what Seto Kaiba refers to. Okay. Yu-Gi-Oh! That explains why I don't know. Okay. I'm currently losing this race. I think I should leave something back defensively, but I also want to tap down one of their creatures so they don't have access to it. Yeah, this is the one that's scariest, so I'll just... And actually it has flash, so I could play it on their turn. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna not attack and just wait for them to... I want to wait until the last possible minute before I make my decision. Okay, now is a great time for me to play this because they're playing Duress, which requires me to discard a non-creature card. Well, let me play my only non-creature card. And there you go. Now they'll know all the cards I have in my hand, but they can't make me discard any of them. Screw the rules, I have money. That sounds very familiar. Okay, let's play Tranquil Cove. And I want an Arcanist Owl. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, screw the rules, I have green hair. I could take a Banishing Light, but let's take another All That Glitters. And let's keep being defensive right now. So it seems they have their own deck that they constructed themselves, which, good on them. They, you know, went through their collection, pulled together a few cards, and are trying something out, when you're first starting out Arena, it will typically match you up against opponents that are just as experienced as you are. So you don't really have to worry about running into like pro players with top tier decks, especially if you're just doing standard play, which I'm doing right now. Really and it's gonna stay that way for quite some time. Let's attack with this because they can't block it, and hopefully they should be dead next turn. So yeah, it kind of gives you a few freebies to ease you into the game. Okay, they should absolutely attack with everything because they're gonna lose anyway. I'll just block there. And sure, let's play that. And if I have my math right, good game. Yep. Awesome. So we won that match. Come on. Oh, how many more do I have to play? 4 more spells to get that. Screw it. I'm just gonna show these off. So let's go into... Now I want to show off this deck. So this is a pre-built deck. Okay, come on. How do I... There's definitely a way... Oh, here it is. Here's what I was looking for earlier. The deck layout. So now you can see this a little bit better. How much did I pay for my 2D model? For the model itself, it was $750 US, and the rigging was, I want to say in like the $200 or $300 range. I kind of went all out on getting my model. There are cheaper ways to get models though. So if you are on a tight budget, I would say don't worry about putting a lot of money towards one, but I could, so I did. And I think both my artist and rigger did an excellent job and are very much worth the price they charge. Anyway, so here's just an example deck. You can mix and match all the colors in Magic if you want. You can play with just a single color. You could play with no colors. There are indeed a few cards that... Come on. There we go. There are a few cards that don't have any color. These are all colorless cards. You can play them in any deck. Yeah, there's just monocolor cards that you can build with. And there's multicolor cards. So these are cards that have more than one color to their identity. And the restriction is you'll have to play with more colors if you want to play these cards. With the exception of this type of mana cost right here. So this says this card costs 4 mana, and that mana can mix and match red or green. So you could play this in a deck that only has access to green mana and be able to play it on turn 4. Same with red mana. So that's kind of the exception, but otherwise you'll have cards like these that require both red and white. And the more colors you add, typically speaking, the more colors you add, the harder it's going to be consistent with your deck. So yeah, see this card right here, Ruinous Ultimatum. That card is extremely hard to cast because it requires 7 mana. So that means you need to get to turn 7, have played a land every single one of those turns, and have all your lands be able to produce this exact combination of colors. There are ways around that, but don't worry about that for now. So keep that in mind when you're deck building. If you do want to build with more than 2 colors, you'll want to keep an eye out for these types of cards. These are lands. I would say there are certain combos of mana that work better for each person. So, but some of them are, I guess, a little weaker than others. But typically, the game is pretty balanced. Yeah, it depends on the set, depends on what's out there for those colors. Wizards of the Coast tries to do their best for balancing stuff. I will say in recent sets, the combination between blue and green tends to be pretty strong. In the most recent set, however, I think maybe the strongest one might be blue and red. I've seen some good stuff with these combinations. Yeah, there's all sorts of different playstyles, all sorts of different colors. I, for one, love building 5-color decks. I think it's a very interesting challenge. There's lots of different ways you can go about building a 5-color deck. And I may not win a lot of games with them, but they're fun for me to build. So, yeah, there's a few things to keep in mind when you're trying to decide what color you want to play. I've also talked in my last stream about the color wheel, but I do want to... You've got the Ashiok deck and the Lathril Blade of the Elves deck, so those are the only ones you have experience with. Yeah, 5-color decks don't always work, but when they do, they are satisfying. So I kind of want to talk about the color wheel. Here's it. Yeah, here we can see the color wheel a little bit better. On the back of every Magic card, unless it's a 2-faced Magic card. So here you see the color wheel. At the top we have white, then it goes blue, black, red, and green. Each of these colors has a philosophy built around them. So white is typically your law and order color, and they will have cards that are good at controlling the board, making sure it stays balanced, and it's also going to typically have a lot of smaller cards that work really well together. Blue kind of has a similar philosophy to white in that they want to make sure that nothing goes in the game without their say-so. So blue has access to one specific card type called counter magic, where basically if you see your opponent playing a spell and you don't want that spell to resolve, blue will a lot of times have a way to prevent that from happening. It's not always the case, and there are a few counter spells in the other colors, but usually that's blue's ballpark. And white and blue typically go together if you want to play a more controlling game where you can prevent your opponent from playing stuff you don't want them to play, and you can play your own things. It's kind of similar for blue and black. Black has this thing where they like to kill things. Yeah, I hate blue decks, by the way. Black has this thing that they love killing things. If a thing dies, oh yeah, they love death. It could be your own things that die, they're happy about it. It could be your opponent's things that die, they're happy about it. Black likes killing things, and it also likes sacrificing a lot. So the ability to sacrifice your own permanents, discard your own cards, or make your opponent discard their cards, or pay your own life to get stuff. Yeah, Mill is its own special like win condition type thing. But thank you for reminding me that, Nightmare. I do want to talk a little bit about Mill. So yeah, these two pair together very well, with blue being like, you can't play a thing, and black being like, I'm going to make you discard a thing so you can't play it, or if you do play it, I'll kill it. So blue and black are another good control pair. Red is like the color of chaos. They like to play aggressive things. They like to play cards that deal a bunch of damage. They also hate artifacts, so they're very good at blowing up artifacts. And these two colors pair very well as an aggressive color. You can also play it more controlling, but oftentimes you will see black and red are a more aggressive color, where they'll play a bunch of small creatures and try to beat down your opponent before they can do anything about it. Green is kind of the color of growth, the color of nature, and the color of playing big, beefy creatures. So green and red are typically going to have a lot of big creatures, and it won't be as aggressive as black and red are. It might take a few more turns for green and red to take off the ground, but when green and red does kick off the ground, they are going to play a lot of big creatures that you're going to have to answer, like if you're playing against it. And then finally, green and white pair together to make a whole bunch of creatures. Green and white are they're the main color pair for creating creature tokens and really benefiting off of that. So you can see this color cycle also has colors that kind of complement each other. Like white gets complemented by green and blue. But you'll also notice that they're kind of colors that are on opposite sides of the cycle of each other. These are referred to as enemy colors. So you have allied color pairings, which are the ones next to each other in the cycle, and enemy colors, which are opposite from each other. So every color has two allies and two enemies. White is allied to green and blue, and is enemies with red and black. Don't let the word enemy confuse you. That doesn't mean that white does not work well with black and red. I do love a black and white deck. That's one of my favorite enemy color pairings. Black and red is going to be a very, because the thing is, even though they might have conflicting philosophies, they still share some philosophies as well. So white and red are both going to like playing smaller creatures that work really well together. So that's another aggressive strategy you'll find. Black and white are both colors that have control elements to them, so you might see them in a more mid-range style to control style deck. Blue and green are enemy colors that work very well together. They will oftentimes involve, they're usually the mid-range decks that produce a bunch of mana and play really big things and protect their things with blue and green. Then we've got black and green. Green is the color of life, and black is the color of death. So, and by life I mean like living things. So, black and green likes to sacrifice their own things and benefit off of that. Blue and red, color of order, color of chaos. Well, not really. White's more the color of order, but color of control, color of chaos. Chaos magic. So there's so many different things you can mix and match. There's also different names for 3 color pairings, even 4 color pairings. But when you're just starting off, I would recommend focusing on 1 color or 2 colors when you're building decks. Let's just switch back here and go back into this deck. So this deck is a combination of red and green. So like I explained before, it's a more aggressive deck, but it's not going to kick off the ground running as quickly as, say, a mono red deck might be. This deck typically takes a few turns to build up, but when it does build up, it will have like 5 5s and 4 4s and 5 4s and 4 3s, and really just big things. You'll see over here, this is called a mana curve. So it's a representation of how much mana each card in your deck costs. So you'll typically see, unless you're like a very aggressive deck, not that many cards that cost 1 mana. In this case, I only have 1 card that costs 1 mana, but 3 copies of it. Then it really curves out around turn 2 and 3 with a whole bunch of cards that cost 2 mana and a whole bunch of cards that cost 3 mana. And typically you'll kind of see this as a bell curve. So you'll see a lot more cards that cost like 2, 3, and 4 mana than you would see cards that cost 1 mana or like 6 or 7 mana. Also, every deck, if you're playing just typical Magic, has a limit of 60 cards. You are not allowed to have fewer than 60 cards in your entire deck. There is technically no upper limit to the number of cards you can have in your deck. I mean, there is, but not really. There's kind of like a soft cap as to maximizing the number of cards, although I think there is a limit in MTG Arena around like 200 something, 300 something. The reason you don't want to go too high over this 60 number is because it dilutes your deck too much. You're allowed up to 4 copies of any one card. Let's see if there's any 4 copies. No, I'm just seeing a bunch of 3s. Here's a 4, Rugged Highlands. You're allowed up to 4 copies of Rugged Highlands. Anything more than that is illegal. You can have as few as 1 card, or as much as 4 cards. The exception being basic lands. Basic lands, you can have as many of them as you want. There is no limit. So you can have, just 9, 10 basic lands. Those are... And there's occasionally, hey Pixie Twinks, occasionally there will be a card that says on it, like, you can have as many of this card in your deck. That's an exception, not a rule. So yeah, for the most part, a limit of 4 cards in your deck if it's not a basic land. You will... Okay, let's see, what else? Oh yeah. Because of the 60 card count and the limit of 4 copies of any one card in your deck, going too high over that 60 will, statistically speaking, lower your chances of drawing those cards you have 4 copies of. So if you have a bunch of cards that you want to play, go ahead, throw them all in your deck. But if you want a very consistent deck, you'll want to keep this number low. Yeah, let me see if I can not collected. It's gonna be white and then here we go. Yeah, this is an example of a card that is kind of an exception to that rule, where you're not allowed to play it unless your deck has a minimum of 80 cards. I mean, you can have this in your main deck, but if you want this to be your companion, you need 80 cards. That's also more an exception than the rule. Sometimes you will see people play like 80 card decks and stuff and win with them, but you typically want to go for consistency. Now, I do struggle when I build decks. I do struggle deciding which cards to cut. So I will sometimes have a deck with like 61 cards, 62 cards. I think that's reasonable. I think it's reasonable to have a deck with like 61, 62 cards. I don't think it affects this, like, the probability that much. Nice. 69. Yeah, they changed the rules of companion. Now the way it works is you pay 3 mana anytime you could play a sorcery, and it goes from your sideboard into your hand, and then you can play it. Because it used to just be you could play it directly from your sideboard, like cast it, and then it goes into play. But now they changed it where you have to pay 3 mana, it then goes into your hand, and then you play it from your hand. Yeah, kind of like playing Brawl. Keeping on the topic of numbers, a deck will typically have 24 lands. So you can see here in the stats, this deck has 24 lands. 24 is a good number for a 60 card deck. It's going to be not too many lands, so you're not going to flood out and not have any spells to play, but not too few where you'll find your handful of spells but not enough lands to play them. That doesn't mean you're not going to flood and you're not going to get mana screwed, but it reduces the likelihood of having that kind of balance. 24 lands in a 60 card deck. It's not always going to be the case. Sometimes if you're playing a more aggressive deck and say you don't have cards that cost more than 4 mana, you might go down to like 20 lands. And that will just increase the likelihood of you drawing actual cards you can play and decrease the chance of you drawing lands. If you're playing a more control-y deck that wants to play into the late game and have a bunch of mana so you can stop your opponent from doing things they want to do, you might go up to like 26, 27 lands. You'll see that a lot. So you can kind of play around with this land count. It really depends on what your deck is trying to do. Yeah, like I said, you can kind of see the mana curve here. Also, decks will often have a mix between creatures and non-creatures. Some decks are going to have a lot more creatures, and some decks are going to have, like, not any creatures. Here you can kind of see the balance of this deck. So this is a 60 card deck and it has 26 creatures in it, and only 8 instants, 1 sorcery, and 3 enchantments, only one of which is not a creature. So it's a pretty creature heavy deck. You're gonna see a lot of creatures when you're playing red and green. You'll find a balance between the number of creatures you want to play and the number of instants versus sorceries. This is just a pre-built deck, so it kind of does that for you. We can look at, say, let's go back to decks. Let's see, maybe this deck will have fewer creatures. I don't think that's gonna be the case because it's a pre-built. Yeah, we're still 23 creatures and slightly more instants and sorceries. What? Yeah, there's a few different decks that have more creatures and decks that have fewer creatures. You'll want to find that balance, and it depends on what you're trying to do. That brings me to archetypes. So there's, I would say, like 3.5 archetypes in Magic. 3 important ones and combo. And you can yell at me if I got that wrong. But the 3 main archetypes are aggro. Those are the ones that you're gonna play a whole bunch of small creatures. Basically, it's a deck that's like 100 defense, 100 offense, like 20 defense. It can play defensively, but usually if that's the case, you're losing, and you might as well just quit the game and start a new match. So aggressive decks, yeah, that's aggro. Mid-range is more a, I mean, this is a more aggressive mid-range deck, but mid-range is typically going to try to survive the first few turns of the game so you can build up your board with very efficient cards and try to win that way. So mid-range is going to win kind of around the mid game. Typically, mid-range will outlast aggro, but that's not always the case. And then we have control. I think this is a decent example of a control deck. It's not really a control deck. Let's see. Yeah, it only has 16 creatures. Control is going to prevent your opponent from doing what they want to do until you get to the late game. Find your win condition, whatever card you're going to use to win, and protect that win condition. There's a few different ways you can go about control. Some of them will have a lot of counter spells. So let's cancel is just your typical counter spell. Pay 3 mana, counter any spell your opponent is playing. Some of them will have removal. I don't have murder, but I know it's a card that exists. Oh, that's why it's not black. There we go. Murder is basically the black version of cancel, whereas the card is on the battlefield and you kill it. And then there's a few other types of removal, but those are the main ones to look for. Another example would be Banishing Light. That's removal. You'll typically mix removal and counter spells, and you also, when you're building a control deck, want to keep in mind oh, come on. Didn't I have a Day of Judgment? Oh, that's why it's a standard deck technically. Here, let's open that up to historic. There we go. So you'll also want these cards that, for the cost of a single card, will destroy a bunch of your opponent's cards. Yeah, there's a few ways you can play control. Typically you'll have a mix of removal, encounter spells, and like late game threats. Ways that you can close out the game and protect that finisher. Generally speaking, there's kind of a cycle where aggro is good against control, control is good against mid-range, mid-range is good against aggro. That's not always going to be the case. You can pull out a win as a control deck against an aggro deck. And there are reasons for why certain archetypes are better against each other. So an aggressive deck is going to have small creatures that usually cap out at like 3 or 4 toughness and don't really have more than 3 or 4 power. Mid-range decks are typically going to have, first of all, they're likely to have removal, ways to kill these small creatures, and second of all, they're likely to have even bigger creatures like 6/6s and stuff like that. Control decks, on the other hand, are going to want to play slower, and they're not going to be able to necessarily get rid of your opponent's cards all in one turn until they reach turn 4, so they can play that board wipe. So an aggressive deck that can be aggressive from turn 1 and start hitting your opponent in the face is likely to put a lot of pressure on the control deck, and they'll struggle. On the other hand, they'll run into a lot of walls with like the 5/5s and 6/6s that mid-range can create. And then mid-range is a slower deck that's that can usually recover against aggro, but because it's so slow, control usually doesn't struggle with it. So that's kind of the cycle of archetypes, and you can look up examples of those archetype decks. I don't think these decks are good examples of any of those archetypes except maybe mid-range. Yeah, and MTG Goldfish is a good website to look at different deck lists. I did also mention there's combo. That is basically, you'll find a set of cards that if you play them, they win you the game on the spot. There's a few different ways to build combo. Some of them will have ways to protect the combo. Some of them are going to be all in on that combo. Also, I guess this is technically now a historic deck. Let's switch that back. Yeah, save those changes. Yeah, there's different ways to build combos. Some of them are all in, some are gonna have actual interaction against your opponent, and those don't really fit into any of these archetypes just because combo is usually just a combination of cards that will win the game on the spot. Some of them are a little bit more controlling, some of them are a little bit more aggressive, but either way, it doesn't really fit into any one archetype. So I think that's a pretty thorough walkthrough of deck building and things to keep in mind when you build your decks. Kuraku or anyone else here in chat, feel free to let me know if you think I missed anything. but I just kind of wanted to cover the basics here. So, I think we can move on to something else. Tell you what, let's play one more game, and if that'll give people time to think if I missed anything that still needs to be covered, just for like beginners. And in the meantime, I should hopefully unlock the next deck in the 2-color cycle. Okay. This is a decent hand, I'll keep it. You can see my opponent has a pet. That's just really cosmetic, it doesn't do anything. It's mad at me because I'm the opponent. Wait while my opponent decides what they're gonna do, okay. Alright. I think I want to start with this. Just because they don't currently have any creatures. Yeah, that is gonna change, but whatever. Honestly, tell you what, I'm gonna see if they trade. I'm fine with these 2 cards trading. Okay, they don't trade, in which case I'll just get rid of that card. You typically want to prevent your opponent from accelerating their mana, and this is a mana accelerant. It will, you know, tap for more mana on their next turn. Let's see here. Let's offer up the trade again. I'm fine trading this 2-1 for a 3-2. They might actually take this trade because this does something when it dies. Nope, they decided not to. And then I'll play this Archon, and if they don't kill this Archon, I'll start getting Pegasi next turn by playing enchantments. Also, this Archon has an ability called Lifelink, so if it deals damage, I gain that much life. I'm not going to take that trade, thank you. You can do whatever, because actually, look at this. Elspeth Conquers Death. I can exile their creature. Exile means it doesn't die. And then, because sometimes cards like this will say, when it dies, you create a Saproling. But because it got exiled, it's technically not killed. Okay, this 4/4 is a little annoying. Tell you what, I'm going to play Birth of Melodus. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Nightmare. And I actually did realize you brought up Mill, and I forgot to cover Mill, so I can do that next time if you're interested. Yeah, I'll play this Arcanist Owl. Alright. Well, have fun. Whatever you're gonna do. Let's take another Arcanist Owl. And I'll just attack with these. And if they attack, I'll probably block. But no, they shouldn't. Why are you attacking? You have literally... I mean, I guess they knew they were gonna lose. Yep. Okay. So that's pretty good. We won that game, and there we go. We've unlocked the next deck in the cycle. It's the red and black one. And Kroxa. Oh, I love Kroxa. Kroxa's a fun card to play. Okay. Now, we got a bit of time left. Let's look at these events, shall we? I kind of talked about deck building. Let's do draft. I want to do a Strixhaven draft, but I'd rather it be a quick draft so I can kind of explain how drafting works. How about sealed? How much is a sealed event? Oh, that costs gems to enter, so we're not going to do that. What if we did a quick draft? Oh yeah, we've got money for it. The reason why I want to do draft is because, first of all, it's a great way to build up your collection. In most cases, draft, you'll get to keep all the cards that you pick. And another reason is even if you lose all the games in a draft, because once you draft and build your deck, you then basically play a bunch of games with that deck until either you win 7 times or you lose 3 times, and you'll earn a reward based on how many wins you get. Even if you build a terrible deck and lose all the games, you still get like a participation reward of 50 gems in a single pack from the set. And yeah, so it's like, I think the only way you can really consistently gain gems if you're doing free to play. So, and it's a good thing to spend your gold on, because if you think about it, you're spending 5,000 gold for the contents of 3 booster packs, plus another booster pack, and depending on how well you play in the game, it could go up to 5 booster packs, but you're also gaining gems in the process. And so yeah, draft is a good option to spend your money on, your in-game gold on, and playing draft games will actually earn you towards these daily wins and your weekly wins. This is your weekly wins. So yeah, I would like it if there was a quick draft option for Strixhaven, so we could see what drafting the newest set looks like. Sealed is kind of like draft, except instead of passing the packs around in a circle, you're given 6 booster packs and you build out of those booster packs. And Premier Draft is playing against other players in real time. The reason I want to do a quick draft is because I don't think there's a timer on it, so I can spend my time talking about my decisions. And then maybe at a later date we'll do a Premier Draft. Those are twice as expensive. I think the entry is 10,000 gold. But I think the rewards are a little bit better. Let's just take a look at that. So Premier Draft, yeah, see, with the quick draft, it's like 0 wins is the same, 50 gems in 1 pack. But then the more wins you get, it's like a % chance that you'll get 2 packs. And then at the very end, it's a guaranteed 2 packs. This time, it's like a whole bunch of gems, and you can go up to 6 packs. So, if you're very good at drafting, or just if you're picking up experience drafting, Premier Draft is pretty fun. But we're going to do a quick draft with Kaldheim, which is the second most recent set. And before I do that, I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and then we can hop into this draft. Alright, I should be back now. Went to the bathroom, and now one of my dogs, Mac, who is pretty attached to me, is starting to get a little bit riled up because his dinner time is approaching. We feed them at like 5:30. Hey, Mathis. Yeah, we feed the dogs at like 5:30, and Mac is starting to try to get my attention by scratching on the door and stuff. I hope he doesn't do that too much, and hopefully it's not too distracting for all of you. Yeah. I would let him in my room. I do when I'm not streaming, but because I'm streaming and there are other people in this house, I keep my door shut. And I know if I get him into my room, he is going to ask to be let out at some point. And I'd rather have no interruptions for my streams. But I promise you, I do not hate my dog. He's lovely and adorable, and you've probably seen pictures of him on Twitter. The other dog's name is Panda, by the way. I've got 2 dogs, they're both Shih Tzus. Anyway, we're gonna hop into this draft. And hopefully there's not gonna be any timer, so I can kind of talk through my decisions. It's been a while since I've done a quick draft. Let's change that view also so we can see these cards a little better. Okay, so you open a booster pack, and this is like an IRL booster pack with 15 cards to choose from. You'll have 1 rare, a bunch of uncommons, and a bunch of commons. There are ways to go about drafting a set. Basically, you'll pick one of these cards, add it to your pool over here on the side, and then you'll pass this pack to your left, and then someone else will pass a pack to you. It'll have 1 fewer cards, and you keep going until that booster pack is gone. Then you open the second pack, do the same thing but pass to the right, and then the third pack, and do the same thing passing to the left again. So you're building your deck as you go along, adding cards to your card pool, and you will decide over here what your this will be your card pool, and this will be what you build your deck from at the end of the draft. I am a bit of a scrub when it comes to drafting. I go for rares. Mainly, like, it's not a bad idea to just go for rares, because rares are good. And rares are also an important currency to have in MTG Arena, because rares are going to be harder to come across in the long run. You'll find a lot of decks, a lot of the more competitive decks out there use rares, so you might be low on rare wild cards, so it's good to pick them up along the way, just in draft. This doesn't mean it's the best card in the entire deck, in this entire pack, for me to draft. There's probably better picks. But I'm going to take the rare, just so we can build up those rares in my collection, and there's a high chance I might just play with this card because, I mean, it's a rare. So, it's a blue and a black saga that says each player mills 4 cards. Mill just means you put cards from the top of your library into your graveyard. So each player mills 4 cards, then I may exile a creature or planeswalker from each graveyard. Then on 2 and 3, I can, until end of turn, cast a spell from among cards exiled with King Narfi's Betrayal, and spend mana as though it were any color to cast those spells. So I'll take that. Then on to pick 2. So if I'm going blue and black, at this point we kind of just want to focus on the blue and black stuff. So, Behold the Multiverse has an ability called Foretell, which is basically I can pay 2 generic mana and exile it face down, and then cast it for a cheaper cost later in the game. That's not a bad card. Being able to scry 2 and draw 2 cards at instant speed is pretty good. Disdainful Stroke can be useful for countering typically the heavier stuff your opponent is playing. Demonic Gifts would be good for saving any of my creatures from getting killed. It's a decent card, but honestly, I usually don't play these very often in Limited. And Elderfang Disciple, when it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and raise the Draugr. You get to choose with this one. You either get to return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or you can return 2 creatures that share a same creature type. So, for instance, this is an Elf Cleric. If I had 2 elves in my graveyard, I could return them both to my hand. And then we've got Raven Wings, which is just a colorless card that if I wanted to, I could add to my deck. I'm going to go, it's between these 3, Disdainful Stroke, Elderfang Disciple, and Behold the Multiverse. And I think I want the Elderfang Disciple. Yeah, that's a good point, Mathis. There is no limit to the number of copies of any single card you add to your deck in draft. If you do pick, like, say, 10 Elderfang Disciples, it's not very likely, but if you did, you could play all 10 of them. Village Rites isn't too bad. Weathered Runestone is a decent card in Constructed, but in Draft, it's not going to do a whole lot. Mist of Litjara, that's pretty decent pseudo removal. It doesn't actually kill a creature, but it might make it less of a threat to you. Pilfering Hawk is decent card selection. Filter through your cards. Although it's not going to be useful until I get any snowlands into my deck. And Village Rites might be fine for an Elderfang Disciple, because it's just a 1/1 that doesn't really do anything after it enters the battlefield, so I'm fine sacrificing it. I think I want... And Undersea Invader is fine. Like, it's a big creature that has flash, so it could be useful to close out a game. But I played a little bit with this card, and I'm not terribly impressed with it. Also, 6 mana is a lot to ask for in Draft. So I could take Pilfering Hawk and just kind of hope I get more snowlands along the way. Or take Mists, just because that's a good card to have to neutralize any threats. I think I'll take the Hawk. Okay, now Giant's Amulet is a fun one. It's an uncommon, and more often than not, I'll save this card until I can pay its additional cost to just create a 4/4 giant that automatically gets the +0/+1 and hexproof as long as it's untapped. That's a decent card to have that can generate a hard to deal with threat towards the mid game. Then we've got Runes of Mortality. It gives a creature death touch, and it can also enchant an equipment. Bind the Monster is kind of similar to Mists of Litjara, where it doesn't actually get rid of a creature, but it might neutralize it. It is a little bit painful because the creature that you're getting rid of gets to deal damage to you, but for 1 mana isn't that bad. Litjara Kinseers is actually a pretty decent card in this set to draft, because it's not that hard to get more than like 3 or more creatures that share a creature type, and keep in mind Litjara Kinseekers counts as one of those 3 creatures. Because it has Changeling, it has all creature types. So that might not be a bad one. Karfell Kennelmaster just gives 2 target creatures +1/+0 and indestructible until end of turn. It's not bad. I think I want the Giant's Amulet. Okay, here we got a few decent options here. So Bergstrider is another good card if I'm playing a lot of snow stuff. So if I have a snow land, I can, when I play this card and spend snow mana to cast it, I can tap one of my opponent's creatures and it won't untap for their next turn. Depart the Realms is it's good at slowing down your opponent. It puts a non-land permanent that they spent their turn casting back into their hand, so they have to cast it again. And if you bounce a token, then it's gone for good. Karfell Harbinger is not bad. It can help me accelerate my mana. And then here we've got a snow land. I'm not playing white, but I am playing blue. So even though it has the downside of entering the battlefield tapped, it might not be a bad idea to take it just so I have snow mana. But I think I want Bergstriders. That one I've had good experience playing with. Now, what are our options? So we've seen Bergstrider, we've seen Karfell Harbinger. We now also have Dread Rider. This is a decent card if you're playing a more control-y draft deck, because it's a 3/7, which is hard for your opponent to attack through. There aren't a lot of cards with 7 power. And it has an ability that even if I leave it back to use defensively, I can slowly whittle down my opponent's life total. And then Jarl of the Forsaken has flash, so I can play it on my opponent's turn if I want. And when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. That's not bad. Also, Goldvein Pick. This is a card that I've actually seen do fairly well in draft, and just limited in general in this set. Because it only costs 1 mana to equip it. And it's a pretty decent ability. I think I want the Jarl of the Forsaken, just so I have more ways to kill my opponent's stuff. Okay, now... Alright, Shimmer Drift Veil. I'm strongly considering just taking that now, because it's a snow land. It does enter the battlefield tapped, so I can't use it right away, but it is snow mana. And it's mana fixing. I can pick blue or black depending on whichever color I need. We also got Raven form, which is decent removal. It does give... Typically you're going to use this on your opponent's stuff. And it does give them a bird afterwards, but usually that bird is less of a threat than whatever you exile. We've got another Pilfering Hawk. An Augury Raven is a decent card. A 3/3 with flying is pretty good, and if you can foretell it, so you exile it on one turn and then on another turn you only play it for 2 mana, that's pretty decent. And Great Hall of Starnheim is really only valuable if you're playing white, and I'm not. So, yeah, I'll take the Shimmer Drift Veil, just so we have our first Snowland. Hopefully we can get more. We've got another Berg Strider. Raider's Carve isn't bad. So it's a vehicle, which is a relatively new card type. They were created like a few years ago. A vehicle is an artifact that only exists as just like a plain artifact, but if you tap any number of creatures with the total power of the crew cost, so this one has crew 3, so if I tap a number of creatures whose power adds up to 3, this becomes a creature until end of turn. So that's not bad. I also like Rush Ashore. Rush Ashore is a decent control card in this set for 6 mana, which is a lot to ask, but it is an instant. And I can actually choose both of these. So for 1 card, I can temporarily get rid of 2 of my opponent's things. So I always like to have at least one of those. Only 2 really good options for me. I could start dabbling in white, so I could have Gates of Istvel, but nah, in draft I usually like to only go with 2 colors. Let's take another Rush Ashore. A Null is a decent card, but extremely situational. And like, being able to counter something for 1 mana is pretty good. It's just, it's only an artifact or enchantment. So I would recommend Rush Ashore again. We don't have to play with both copies of Rush Ashore. We can cut that down. Looks like we're back to our first pack now. So yeah, looks like we still have that Disdainful Stroke that we can take, so we'll take that. I'll take Mists now, just so we can have that removal. Again, I'll take Mists because I'm not playing any green. I'll take the only card that really fits my colors, although I may not run this. Same with Dread Rider. And this card I have to take because it's my only option, but I'm probably not going to run it in the final form of this. Oh, hello, we got a Mythic Rare for our Pack 2, pick 1. So Alrund, God of the Cosmos, is a modal dual-faced card, so I can choose to play him as Haka, the Whispering Raven. That's pretty decent. Again, like I mentioned at the start of this draft, I'm typically a rare picker, so even if this wasn't a good card, I would still probably take it. But this fits in well with my deck, and it's in my colors, so yeah, I'm taking that. I'm not even really going to look at any of these other cards, although I can if I want to. We've seen them before, the Augury Raven, the Rush Ashore. This is the only one we haven't seen yet, the Grim Draugr, which is a pretty good card. But yeah, we're taking that Mythic. Oh, hello, Toski. Yeah, I'm probably gonna take Toski. Even though it's not in any of my colors, I'll be able to add this to my collection and later build a deck with this. Toski is a very good green card. It's indestructible, it can't be countered. It's also a squirrel, which is nice. You have to attack with it every turn if you can, but whenever any creature I control, not just Toski, any of my creatures, deals combat damage to a player, I draw a card. That's pretty good. We also have Turgid's Shadow, which is decent removal against my opponent's stuff. I have to sacrifice 2 creatures too, but usually I don't mind. Mistwalker is also a pretty decent card in draft. Yeah, let's take Toski. I'm not gonna run it in this deck, but it's good to have. Okay, now I've got Inga Rune Eyes. It's a legendary creature. When it enters the battlefield, I scry 3. So I look at the top 3 cards of my deck, and I can put them back in any order I want, and any of them I can put on the bottom. And when it dies, I draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures died this turn. So that's pretty decent. You've seen the Litjara Kinseers. Funeral Longboat is another vehicle, and it has the low cost of only 2 mana and only crew 1. And for a 3/3 with Vigilance, that's not terrible. We could also take another Shimmer Drift Veil, just so we could have more snow mana. I'm going to take a look at our creature count so far. So right now we have 8 creatures in our deck. It's pack 2, pick 3. So we've still got quite a few picks. I think I want to secure another Snowland. Okay. This isn't... Okay, this is actually pretty decent. So way down. For 1 mana and an additional cost, I have to exile a creature from my graveyard. I can give any creature -3/-3 until end of turn. So, for example, this 3/3, if I play that on the 3/3, the 3/3 dies because its toughness hits 0. So that's not a bad card. Alternatively, we've got the 3/3. Draugr Recruiter. For 4 mana, it's a 3/3. And it has an ability called Boast. So after it attacks, I can activate the Boast ability to return target creature from my graveyard to my hand. That's not bad, but I like Way Down. Way Down is pretty good. Okay, now... Oh, probably gonna take the Ice Tunnel because it's in my colors, and it's another Snowland. But my other options are Mistwalker, which, yeah, this is a pretty good card in draft. Because it's a 2/3, it's a 1/4 for 3 mana. It's not too heavily costed, it only has 1 color requirement. It's got Changeling, which is relevant in this set. It's got Flying, and you can use mana to make it slightly stronger, but have less toughness. It's not a bad card, but I'll take the Ice Tunnel. Usually, you do want to focus on picking up lands that will help your mana fixing in the draft. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but if you have more than 1 color, you'll want to find lands that help you cast those spells. Okay, what are our options here? So in our colors, we've got Raven Form, which I've explained before is pretty decent removal. And Carfell Kennel Master. That's not a bad card, actually. A 5 mana 4/4 that when it enters, it basically lets you attack with 2 creatures without any drawback, if you want to. But I'll take the removal. And then we have... okay, this is our only black card, and it's not a bad black card either. Koma's Faithful for 3 mana. It's a 3/1 with lifelink. Lifelink is pretty good. And when it dies, each player mills 3 cards. I do have this King Narfi's Betrayal that cares about milling cards. So, yeah, let's take Koma's Faithful. And then we've got Return Upon the Tide. So return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it is an elf, create 2 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. So how many elves do we have in our deck? We have 2, or our card pool, I should say. We have 2 elves, and I'm not sure if that counts shapeshifters. Did I pick up any shapeshifters along the way? I don't know if I did or not. No, I don't think so. So we only have 2 elves, but even then, being able to just reanimate a creature isn't bad. Wither Crown, that is very good removal. It's similar to the Missive Litjara, where it doesn't actually kill the creature, it stays around. But it reduces its power to 0, and your opponent is slowly going to lose life each turn until they decide to sacrifice it. But I have not yet got an Augury Raven, and I think I want to. But then again, this isn't uncommon. I'm more likely to see an Augury Raven again. Oh, I haven't seen Trickster God's Heist. That's actually in my colors. What's this one? So Chapter 1, I can exchange control of 2 target creatures. So like I could give my opponent one of my weaker creatures for one of their stronger ones. Chapter 2, I can exchange control of 2 target non-basic non-creature permanents that share a card type. So that might be less likely to happen, but still not bad if there are good options out there. And Chapter 3 is just target player loses 3 life and I gain 3 life. I think I'll take that. The only one that's really in my colors here is Rush Ashore. I have 3 of those now. I'm definitely not going to play all 3 of them. Priest of the Haunted Edge. This is a pretty good card, because it's a snow card. It costs 2 mana to play. It's a 0/4, meaning it blocks pretty decently into the mid game. And I can sacrifice it. I can tap it and sacrifice it, so it can't be summoning sick, to give target creature -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of snowlands I control. I can only use that ability on my turn. Currently I've got 3 snowlands. I'll take this and see how many snowlands I get at the end of the draft to decide whether I play this or not. Here we've got the Carfell Kennel Master or Funeral Longboats. I think the Kennel Master is a little bit better. Yeah, just as a 5 mana 4/4, I could use some more top end stuff. You can kind of see up here what my mana curve current looks like, so I have a bunch of 2 mana stuff right now. Annual, I'll take 1 just to have, but this isn't even a best of 3 deck. Sure, invoke the divine and revitalize. So none of those are cards I actually use. Okay. The world tree is pretty interesting. This card is good in draft if you're, well, first of all, if you're playing green, but second of all, just if you are playing a bunch of colors, because you can see there, as long as you have 6 or more lands you control can tap for any color. So if I wanted to add a third color to my deck, this could help with that. But the most important thing is because I get to keep it in my collection, this is a good card in Constructed. I like the World Tree, so I'm taking that. I may not run it, but I'm taking it. Okay, here we've kind of seen most of these. Frostalker is also pretty good if you're playing snow lands. Just because there's a possibility that at the low cost of tapping this thing in 1 mana, I can maybe draw a new card. Frostpeak Yeti is pretty decent. Grim Draugr is pretty decent. I'm gonna take Rally the Ranks. I know it's one of the weaker rares out there, but if later down the line I build a deck that would really benefit from Rally the Ranks, I'd rather have it in my collection now. I know it's gonna hurt me not picking a more realistic card for the draft, but I do what I want to do. Icespine Pillar is kind of interesting. You can tap it at the cost of a snow mana to tap target artifact or creature, so if there is a permanent your opponent has that could be problematic, you can basically disable it every single turn. I could take a Woodland Chasm just for the sake of having that extra black. And I have a few green cards as well. I might consider adding green into the mix. Yeah, I'll take that. And then, yeah, we can return a thing to the battlefield. Strategic Planning. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest in your graveyard. This is good for basically digging through your deck if you need a certain card, like if you are struggling to hit your lands. That can be helpful. We can take another Way Down. Or Glittering Frost. If we were thinking of adding green, which I'm strongly considering at this point, even just for Toski, Glittering Frost can help us with mana fixing. It's also mana acceleration because basically I spend my turn 3 turning a land that taps for 1 mana into a land that taps for 2 mana. So, and it can be any color, so that could be good for mana fixing. I could take another Way Down, just because, again, decent removal. I'll take the Glittering Frost and see what happens. We might decide against running it. Okay, now if we're looking at green, we've got Herald, King of Skemfar. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards. You may reveal an Elf, Warrior, or Tyvar. That's a Planeswalker from among them and put them in your hand. How many elves do I have right now? I still only have 2. That's not that great. Grim Draugr. It's gonna be between these 2, I think. Let's go with the Grim Draugr. Okay, now we've got another one of the Trickster God's Heist. That's not bad. Another Disdainful Stroke could be useful. Deathnell Berserker, when it dies, if it had power 3 or greater, I make a zombie. I don't think I have any way to make that possible. Or Ice Tunnel. So my pick is between these 3 cards, I think. Trickster God's Heist, Disdainful Stroke, and Ice Tunnel. Right now I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4 snowlands, because the World Tree isn't a snowland. Yeah, I'll take another Ice Tunnel. So now, Dogged Pursuit isn't a bad control type card, where if I'm controlling the board, I can slowly over time gain a bunch of life and my opponent loses a bunch of life. It's not bad. Priest of the Haunted Edge. Disdainful Stroke. Okay, this is a tough pick. I think I don't need more than one Priest of the Haunted Edge. Do I go Dogged Pursuit, another Disdainful Stroke, or Depart the Realm? No, I don't think I need more than one Disdainful Stroke. I'll take a Depart the Realm. Alright, this is interesting. So this cycle of lands, where they enter tapped, they're uncommon, they tap for 1 color, and then they have an activated ability that requires 2 colors. These, I've heard, are pretty good in Draft. And this one actually has both my colors. So I think I'll take that. If I'm playing green, this isn't that great a green card with what I'm currently running. So I'll take this Dusk Wielder, although I'll probably not play it. Frostpeak Yeti is pretty decent. Yeah, I'll take that. This is the only card in my colors, so I'll take it. This is... yeah, I'll just take this one again. I think I'll take a Broken Wings. I'll probably not run it. Okay, Deathnell Berserker, and Arachnoform. Okay. And this is telling me that if I've drafted cards that exceed the maximum of 4, then those cards get turned into my vault progress, and once I reach 100% in the vault, I can get free wild cards. So now is the deck building part. In Draft, if you're in limited, so that means draft or sealed, instead of having a minimum of 60 cards, you have a minimum of 40 cards. So first of all, that's helpful in that you'll have a higher probability of drawing the cards that you want. And second of all, it is basically just because you've only got so many cards out of the draft. Like you can see, I don't even really have enough cards to build a 60 card deck unless I added more lands. I'm only allowed to build with the cards that I just got from the draft, with the exception of basic lands. I can add in as many of those I want. There are also snow basics, which are basic lands, but they have snow as their type. But those you can't add in draft unless you pulled them from one of the packs. So anyway, now is the time where we decide what we want to cut. And this is admittedly the part that I struggle with a lot. I'm usually pretty decent at trimming that number down from 55 to like 40 something, but I can never really get that number down to 40 itself. Oftentimes I'll get it down to like 45 and run that. Well, technically yes, it's probably better to have the 40 minimum. I don't think it's that terrible to run 45 cards. So now I'm going to go for what I'm cutting. First and foremost, we want to cut any cards that are not in my colors. So that's this white card and these white cards. Those cards are not in my colors. Now, I am running green. I think I do want to run green just to have like Toski and maybe Glittering Frost. I don't think I need either of these cards though. And Broken Wings is... situationally it's useful, but I don't think I need it. Tell you what, I'll leave it in for now and cut it later. So I'll take out these. Then... so we're down to 50 cards. I don't think we need any copies of Anul, just because that's just a better sideboard card than a main deck card. There's a likelihood this will just be a dead card in my hand for an entire game, and I don't want that to happen. I'm keeping in Giant's Amulet. I think I'll cut Dusk Wielder, I mean. It's not a bad card, but it's better as an aggressive card, and I'm not playing very aggressively. I'm more of a mid-range deck. Way Down we do want to keep, that's good removal. Depart the Realm is also good at setting my opponent back. This is called Tempo, by the way. Tempo is basically, I play something efficient in mana cost to set my opponent back a turn. So it doesn't kill their card, it doesn't counter it, but it does slow them down and give me a chance to build up my resources. I'll keep Disdainful Stroke because there's a high chance, well, not extremely high in draft, but there's a decent chance I'll be able to counter one of my opponent's things with this. Carfell Harbinger. It might not be bad to have one copy of this card in my deck, but I only have 8 instants and sorceries. I might cut this. I think 2 copies of Missive Litjara is fine, because you do want to be able to neutralize threats. Pilfering Hawk I will keep, because I think I've got enough snowlands now to justify having. Deathnell Berserker I will cut. I could just keep it in even if it didn't have this, even if I can't get its power to 3. Just because a 2-mana 2/2 isn't bad. But I'll cut it just to make room for more stuff. I want Elderfang Disciple just because it makes my opponent discard stuff. Priest of the Haunted Edge is good because I have snowlands. Raven Form I will keep. Grim Draugr I'll keep. Koma's Faithful I'll keep. Now we're up here. I'll keep Keen Narthi's Betrayal. Frostpeak Yeti. I'll keep that. Jarl of Forsaken I'll keep. Toski I'll keep. I have to say, I would not run Toski if this cost 2 green mana. Because it only costs 1 green and the other 3 can be whatever I want, I can pretty reliably hope to have green mana to play it. Trickster God's Heist, I think that could be fun, so we'll leave it in. Alrund is our mythic rare pull, I'll keep that. Bergstrider is decent, Carfell Kennelmaster is decent. Now, I have 3 copies each of these 6 mana cards. And typically you don't want too many cards that are too expensive because you might have them in your starting hand and won't be able to play them for a long time. So I'm going to cut Run Ashore down to 2. And Red Rider, I think I'm going to cut down, I think 2 might be fine. Yeah, I think 2 is fine. So now we're down to 44 cards. I could find 4 more cards to cut. But honestly, I think this might be a decent deck. I do want to fix out this mana a little bit. The game will auto-generate your land, like how your lands work. But I would recommend, if you're splashing a color, to just manually adjust this, because it's giving me 3 forests for only 3 green cards in my entire deck. I want to reduce that down because I have the World Tree can produce green mana, Woodland Chasm can produce green mana, and Shimmer Drift Veil, if I want to and I draw it when I have a green card in my hand, can also produce green mana. It's not a bad idea to have 1 forest, but I do want to cut 2 of them and just add 1 island and 1 swamp, just so my primary colors can be a little bit more consistent. I can also name my deck if I want. Also, you can see a look at our curve. We have 14 creatures, 5 instants, 2 sorceries, 1 artifact, 5 enchantments, and 17 lands. 17 is about the land count you want in a draft deck. You can also see our mana curve and our color balance here. So as you can see, a bunch of blue, not as much black, and a very tiny amount of green. If I want to, I can customize this a little bit more, so like add a new card back. I usually don't bother with that in draft. And yeah, I can rename this if I want to, like call it deck. There we go. And this right here, I can change the what the box of the deck is. So if I want to say throw Alrund in there, there we go. This is now Alrund is like the mascot of this deck. I will submit this. In these kinds of draft events, you can change the deck as you go. So say I played like 2 games with this deck, they didn't really go that well. Win or lose, maybe I like struggled a little bit with my mana. I can go back to this deck and make any changes I need. So let's just play 1 game with our deck and see how it goes. So it will find me a real opponent that also just did a draft with Kaldheim. And hopefully MTG doesn't crash. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Fingers crossed. Connection lost. Okay, let's reconnect. I will say the MTG Arena servers are like held together with glue and duct tape. And now I can't even click reconnect. Okay. Come on. Nope. Nope. I'll probably have to, yeah, I'll just close the game. Oh, I can't even close the game. Of course I can't. Well, let me close eventually. There we go, it's closed. And let me try and relaunch it. Make sure that's capturing. Game. There we go, it's capturing. Okay, let's go back into that draft event. Quick draft. Oh, fantastic. I just click the play button and it crashes immediately. Gotta love it. MTG Arena, everybody. Highly recommend this game. And now it doesn't want to reopen. Now I've got 2 instances of it open. How's everyone's day going? Nope. Connection lost. Nope. Nope. Okay. Well, that would explain why, because I've got 3 instances of it open. No. Okay. Close it again. We're gonna try one more time. One more time. Let's be patient with it. This is the MTG Arena experience, everybody. This is why I recommend you don't spend money on this game. Reconnect. 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 It's possible the servers are down worldwide. Yeah, that's entirely a possibility. Because sometimes they will like shut down the servers for maintenance and stuff, and they'll like announce it online. Let's just cross our fingers and hope we can get back in. If not, we'll wait for this percentage to slowly tick up to 100. It's taking its sweet time. Well, now's a great time to take a drink. I do want to see if I can find a way to play Commander on stream. Because Commander is just like the best format. I just have 2 like real limitations to it. I don't really want to play it online, just because MTGO kind of has some of its own issues, and also I have my entire collection on one account that is just a personal account. Untap.in. I might look into that. I could also go ahead and and then there's the other form of playing Commander, which is just with a camera. I don't have a lot of space to do that. Not in, like, I could maybe move some stuff around. But yeah, I don't really have a good place to mount my camera. Yeah. Alright, MTG Arena. Okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Play. Let's play a game. I want to play a game with my deck. Let me do it. Let me do it, Wizards. Watsy. Watsy. Wizards. Wizards. Come on, server. Gambare. You can do it. I don't believe in you, but you can do it. No. Come on. Everyone, let's pray together for the server. Come on. Whatever God you believe in, if you believe in a God, just pray. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Something seems to be going wrong here. Because usually there's a cancel button right here. That's gone. I think we've entered the void. Yeah. We have entered the void. The void consumes us as it consumes all. Oh, here it is. The cancel button had finally appeared. Let's click it and see if it actually cancels. Oh my god, it actually canceled. That doesn't always happen. Okay, let's... one more time. And if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna call the stream. Hopefully, and... oh my god, it worked! Okay. We've actually got a game here, folks. We've actually got a game. So thank you all for sticking around for the past, like, 10 minutes while that worked itself out. Yeah, this is a decent hand. It has all my colors. I can play this on turn 2, this on turn 3. Probably want to start with... no, I think I want to start with the World Tree. I want to save this because I have to choose one color as it enters. I want to save this until I can decide later on which color I need the most. It'll probably be blue. Anyway, let's play this Carfell Harbinger. I see they also have Akoma's Faithful. Okay, let's play the Swamp. And then Glittering Frost on the Swamp. So now the Swamp is a snow land. I'm gonna leave the Harbinger back to block this. Yeah, now the swamp is a snow land and it taps for 2 mana instead of just the 1. Don't you dare kill that. I see your... Okay, good. So now I've got 4 mana. I could have 5. I think it's better for me to play this, and I'll name black, just because I've drawn a blue land. I will go ahead and foretell this. So that just means that I can play it for cheaper later on. Also, my opponent said hello, so I'll tell them hello. I want to play defensively here. Let's see what my opponent does. I could play this to neutralize anything they try to play, or I could play that. I will leave them both. Okay. I think I want to get out the Dread Rider. It's entirely possible they have a way to kill it. They are playing black. Black tends to have good removal. But if they can't kill it, I've got a decent 3/7 that they can't really effectively attack through. Okay, so their next spell is gonna get copied. What's that spell gonna be? Is it gonna be a removal spell? That would kind of suck for me. They're thinking about it. Or the server's thinking about it. One of those two. The server is not having a good day. Come on, Greed. My opponent's name, Greed. Come on. I could say to them, your go. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of rude. Interesting. I don't really care about the Berserker. I have a strong feeling they might have a way to kill the Dread Rider if I block with it, so I'm instead gonna do this. I'm fine losing the Harbinger. Yeah, they had a way to deal with it. I'm fine with this, though. They will get their card back, but first we all mill 3. Let's see what went into my graveyard. I don't miss those cards. Now, I think I want to weigh down this card, and I'll exile my Harbinger. So now that card is gone for good. And all of these I can play at instant speed. And I'll leave back my Dread Rider as a blocker. Ooh, it's a 5/4. Okay. Now I think I'll play Rush Ashore. Choose both these. I'll put... It doesn't really matter. I guess I'll put this on top of your library and this in your hand. So yeah, for the price of 1 card, I just got rid of 2 of theirs. It's not permanent. They will be able to replay them, but it really slowed them down. And now I'm pretty open to attack. I'm not gonna use that ability since I only have the 1 creature in my graveyard right now. And I don't need to play too defensively currently. Alright, they replay the 5/4. I'll play the Pilfering Hawk. And now I think I will leave these back as blockers. I still have this Jarl of the Forsaken that I can use. Let's see if they attack. They shouldn't. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll activate this Dread Rider, make them lose 3 life, exile my Cardfell Kennel Master. And I'll just pass the turn. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, I'm gonna play this. And then it enters, I have the ability to pay this extra mana. I will. And I just won't do anything here. So now I have a 4/5 that has hexproof. So my opponent can't target it. They might have other ways to deal with it, but they'll have to be more roundabout. They're considering their options. Alright, they just foretelled a card. Or, I guess foretold is technically the past tense. Yeah, I might as well activate this. If I draw a land, I can discard it. I think the Depart the Realm is more valuable than the Mists. Then I'll go to my turn. I'll go ahead and foretell this. Just so it's cheaper later on. I'm not going to play it this turn anyway. I think I will attack. It's going to lose hexproof. It's fine if they use removal on it because I still have 2 3/7s that they are struggling to attack through currently. And I'm not going to play this card. I'm going to save it to discard to Pilfering Hawk. Because I have, I think the most expensive card in my deck is 6 mana, and I have 6 mana. I don't need any more lands. Dual strike, so they're going to copy a spell. What is it? Okay, so gain control of something. That's interesting. Okay, because it's going to destroy an equipment attached to a thing, I'll put the Giant's Amulet back in my own hand, so that I can replay it, get another Giant, and yeah, so they stole a few of my things. It's only until the end of the turn though. And I do have this Jarl of the Forsaken that I can use to destroy something, even if I can't kill it this turn. Yeah, they're going to attack with both my things and one of their own. I still have 15 life. I think I'll block here. And just block here. I'll lose the Pilfering Hawk. Hopefully they don't have any combat tricks, so I lose the Dread Rider. And before this thing dies, I will go ahead and activate it. I'll discard this swamp. And now... So, when this enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. This creature was dealt damage this turn. So, I will go ahead and play that. And since I'm getting this card back, and this card, I don't want to kill this card. So, let's destroy that. Yes, I get 1 damage dealt to my face. And we're in a pretty good position now. I'll play this island. I think I'll go ahead and... No. No, let's save that. I will go ahead and play this Giant's Amulet again just to get another Giant out. Oh, hey CC Solar Flare for the raid. Thank you. And Lunar Cycle for the raid. Oh my gosh. So many raids. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's see. I think I can safely attack with this 4/4. Probably even the 3/7. I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Lunar Cycle? Yeah, I'll just attack with the 4/4. And thank you for the follow. Be it his... Wait, what is that? Be it... Bait Theravises? Yeah, hopefully I can just call you... What's that? Aethys. Ether. Okay. Alright, I'll try to remember that. Yeah, thank you so much. Alright, we can go ahead and exile. I don't need this Pilfering Hawk. Okay. Well, now would be a great time for this Trickster God's Heist, wouldn't it? Because I don't really need this 3/2. And they got a 7/6. So, I'll trade this 3/2 for that 7/6. Yeah, I'll make that trade. There you go. And they scoop. Did pretty well. And look at that, I've actually gained points in a rank this season. So that means when the season ends, I'll actually get rewards. Well, I was going to end the stream just there, but seeing as a lot of people just joined, and I did have a lot of fun playing that deck, so let's jump into another game. Hope the server doesn't crash. Come on. Come on. Okay, we found another opponent. As Kawi. This is a decent hand. 3 lands, I've got all my colors. Yeah, I'll keep that. I'll play the Shimmer Drift Veil on green. And they play theirs on blue. No reason to hold back this Disdainful Stroke. I'll just foretell my Depart the Realm. Because they can't play any 4 mana stuff yet. And I'll play a Swamp. Yeah, let's play this Priest. And then I have 1 mana open for Depart the Realm if I need it. An Icehide Troll. Well, that sounds like a fun card to put back into your hand. I could totally save that for later. I would have liked another land. Yeah, I could have saved that card for later. There's probably better stuff to bounce, but I just wanted to use all my mana, to be honest. Hopefully they play a 4 mana thing and I can say Psych. Glittering Frost, interesting. I can actually kill that with Broken Wings. This card I can Disdainful Stroke. Psych. Oh, still no lands. Come on, deck. I don't want them to have the extra mana. It's possible they'll play something more appealing to destroy with Broken Wings, but I want to get them off that mana first. Oh my, a 5/4. Alright, we've found another land. I'll just hang on to these mists. And I can't kill their thing, because I only have one snow land. They'll probably attack with this. I'll flash this in, defang it a little bit, and it doesn't look like they have any instant speed interaction. So my priest should be safe. Oh, interesting. Harald, King of Skemfar. Sculptor of Winter. Okay. Yeah, let's play this Yeti. I just need 2 more lands, and I can play anything in my deck. Come on. Help me out here. They might attack with Herald. Yeah, they're attacking with Herald. I'm fine taking 3. It does have Menace, which means I have to block with both these creatures if I want to block it. So I can't just let it bounce off my 0/4. Okay. Things are getting a little dicey. I'm flooding out, which is not good. Well, I guess I can't really have 2 things at once. I want more lands, but I also want more cards that I can play. That's my current issue. I don't have either of those. Yeah, tell you what, I'll block the Herald. Hopefully they don't have any instant speed. Oh, they do have... This is fine. I still have this Mists. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and play that on that card. Hopefully they don't have a negate. That would suck. Okay. So now I don't kill their thing, but they also don't get a freebie on mine. And mine actually gets bigger this turn. Okay, they got a lot of elves. I'm not liking this. Interesting. So I can foretell this. And hope for the best. This is probably going to be a loss. I don't see myself winning this game. I don't have any like big board wipes. I also don't go very wide myself. Here's what I'll probably do. I'll block you and block you. I'll be taking 5, assuming they have no combat tricks. That thing doesn't die, but I can kill it with my Jarl, and now they play the Icehide Troll. Alright, play the Jarl. Yep, kill that. Uh, 6/6, that gains them a bunch of life. Well, we drew another land. I think the run ashore is probably going to be better than the 3/7. This is not a great spot. Binding of the Old Gods. Yeah. You got it. You got it. Yeah, we lose. I don't see a way out from under this. Uh-huh. Yep. Well, I can do this at the very least. I'll go ahead and put you on top of your library and you in your hand. So the token goes to their hand, but because it's a token, hopefully they don't have a counterspell. That would suck. But because it's a token, if it goes to their hand... Oh, they have a counterspell. Yep. Okay. I couldn't just get myself out of that. Okay, let's block you. And I'll trade that. Oh yeah, they have their elf, don't they? So they can untap a snow land, save their Icehide Troll by giving it indestructible. I'll see what I draw, and then I'll probably concede. Yeah, I'm down to 3 life, thanks. Okay, it's a swamp. I'll just play this, say good game, and scoop. Yeah. Well, because we're bronze rank, we did not lose anything. Let's just play one more. Magic is so addictive. I just keep pressing that play another game button. Even though I was hoping to end the stream 20 minutes ago, I just cannot stop playing. Unless the server stops me from playing. If the server stops me from playing, that's a different story. Oh, thank you for the follow, WOTR Divinity. I can't even click the reconnect button. MTG Arena, everybody. No. Come on. Come on. No, come on, come on. And now we're getting that message. Server, don't you fucking dare. Server. Server. Let me click that play button. Thank you. Oh my god. So how's everyone's day going? Happy it's Friday? Hit the server issues. Oh, come on. Hit that reconnect. Good old server. Alright, I'll try one last time. Okay, seems to be working this time. Hopefully we're good. Hopefully we're good. Hopefully we're good. It's taking its time to find my opponent. Did the game... Wait. It's thinking. Server. Don't you dare. The cancel button has disappeared. We're up to the minute mark. Love this game. I love it so much. One would think with all the money Hasbro has, they could afford a decent server. Alright, I'll wait for it to get to the 2-minute mark, and if it passes the 2-minute mark without any changes, I'll just close it. It's WotC, but WotC is owned by Hasbro. I guess maybe WotC has their own money that they manage. Okay, well, we do have the cancel button now, at least. I don't know how all that corporate stuff works, but I do know Hasbro owns WotC. Okay, one more time. One more time. Yeah, I don't know how the money gets managed. It's possible WotC has their own account. Yeah, I may need to relaunch it. Yeah, tell you what, I'm gonna do that. Okay, connection issue. One more time. Thank you all for your patience. You kind of need patience if you're gonna play this game. For various reasons. Yeah, no, it happens to me a lot. Although, like, I'm having a lot more issues today than I've had in probably like a couple months. Okay, is it capturing? An arena. Server. You can be friendly to me. You bitch. Well, everyone, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate the raids, Solar Flare and Lunar Cycle. I don't know if you two do, if you two were streaming together or something, but you both showed up at the same time and both have CC in your name, so that might be the case. Your laptop can't run both streaming encoder and MTGA, so yeah, this is on a desktop PC. Yeah, thank you both for the raid. I really appreciate it. And thank you a few people for the follows. Also, I might have missed Solar Flare. You also followed me, so thank you for that. I typically stream MTG every Friday around 3. I've only been streaming for like 2 weeks now, so I can't say that for sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna close. Yeah, yeah, thank you everyone. And if you want to, absolutely drop by if you want to see more MTG. I'm kind of doing this little series where I'm starting up Arena, a brand new account from scratch. And I just want to see how far I can go, see if I can make it all the way, well, not see how long it takes me to get to reasonably play a good mid-range deck or control deck in Historic without spending a single penny. So, hopefully you'll join me on that long ride. And yeah, let's see if I can't find anyone else to stream. Raid, I mean. So, and people who aren't gonna join in that raid, thank you so much for being here. Oh, absolutely perfect. Alright, here we go.
The one appears to be in higher spirit.
Shush. That's
Did you really do that? A raiding with a party of 8? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thanks for the raid, Hardu. You're the best. Oh, you're the best. How was your stream? How was your Magic the Gathering stream? Was it fun? Was it fun and stuff? I'm sure it was fun. I'm sorry I didn't see it earlier. Oh, I have good news regarding emotes. Good news about emotes. I'm gonna be my emotes